The actual tariffs or sanctions on Russia wouldn't mean very much, tariffs, because we barely trade with Russia. I think $5 billion last year. But what that would mean is sanctions on China, sanctions on India. They're the two largest purchasers of Russian oil. Probably a country like Turkey as well, which purchases a lot of Russian oil. So they are threatening those countries. I believe that President Trump said 100% tariffs. There's a Senate bill which would impose 500% tariffs, secondary tariffs on these countries that purchase Russian hydrocarbons. So that's the real threat, not so much to Russia.
Angela, how meaningful would it be for these countries?
So, it would be meaningful because they are the largest purchasers of Russian oil. But then we don't know how they might retaliate. India, of course, is a country that's being drawing closer to the United States. So to have that kind of tariff on India would also, I think, affect other aspects of the U.S.-Indian relationship. So I think they're kind of all waiting. I should say that, saying that Russia has 50 days to end the war, you have to realize that Russia is now in the middle of a very brutal summer offensive. And if you give them 50 days, the summer will be over by then. So Russia can still do an enormous amount of damage to Ukraine in those 50 days.
Well, in terms of moving the needle on actually ending this conflict, Dr. Stent, is this enough in your view to actually push Russia to stop its bombardment of Ukraine?
Well, the most important thing at the moment are the weapons supplies. The Ukrainians desperately need air defenses. They need those Patriot batteries. And today, President Trump said that there's 17 of them available. So what's going to happen is European allies are going to purchase American Patriot missiles and other weapons. They are then going to give them to Ukraine. So that enables President Trump to say to his base, well, we're not spending any more money on Ukraine. Whether that's enough to help Ukraine really give the message to Putin that he cannot win this war, I think that's doubtful. Putin's not going to stop until he really believes that he's not going to win this. And for that, the Ukrainians need an enormous amount of weapons, including, in the end, weapons that could strike Moscow. But we haven't said that we're going to provide those yet.
Well, let's listen to exactly what the president said earlier. Here he is in the Oval Office with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte.
Where we are going to be sending them weapons and they're going to be paying for them. The United States will not be having any payment made. We're not buying it, but we will manufacture it and they're going to be paying for it. This is a very big deal we've made. This is billions of dollars worth of military equipment is going to be purchased from the United States, going to NATO, etc. And that's going to be quickly distributed to the battlefield. Ukraine will take it up. And, say what you want about Ukraine. When the war started, they had no chance. And they still would have had no chance if the equipment, they had the best equipment, because we do make the best planes and missiles, and we make the best military equipment in the world by far.
That was President Trump earlier today. He was in the Oval Office with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Dr. Stent, I want to talk about the weapons portion of this and the significance that you see in an environment where many in the Republican Party were happy not to provide Ukraine with any aid. How do you view this politically for President Trump, and also whether or not you think this is enough of a move by the United States? And again, the president saying the United States is going to provide them, NATO member states are going to pay for them, if that's enough to give Ukraine the edge against Russia?
Well, so first of all, this certainly has split the MAGA base, because there's still significant numbers of people, beginning with Vice President Vance, who think that we shouldn't be supplying Ukraine. And then you had the Undersecretary in the Defense Department, Elbridge Colby, apparently order the end of supplying Ukraine with weapons because he thinks only the Europeans should do this. President Trump reversed that order that apparently he hadn't heard about before. So, yes, I think this is still a contentious issue within his base. Is that enough to help Ukraine? Ukraine just needs an enormous amount of these Patriot batteries. If it gets 17 extra ones, that's terrific. Ukrainians themselves are manufacturing their own drones now. They're also making deals with European countries to co-produce them. But we really don't know whether that is enough, because the Russians are also stepping up their production of weapons, and they're also using their drones in very creative ways to try and get round some of the barriers that the Ukrainians have put in their way. So at the moment, things are very difficult for Ukraine, and I think only very significant numbers of weapons can help them push this back. And they also do have a mobilization problem. Russia has many more people it can mobilize. It's got North Koreans fighting for the Russians. The Ukrainians do face this shortage, they are so far refusing to draft 18 to 25-year-olds, but they are under pressure from some of the Western countries to do so.
Angela, we saw a report last week that North Korea is supplying as much as 40% of Russia's ammunition. Just how much of an asset is this for Russia?
Oh, North Korea is an enormous asset for Russia now. We now hear they may send as many as 30,000 more Koreans troops to Russia to help, and with the ammunition. So without North Korea, it would be very difficult for Russia to do what it's doing. Iran is less important now, by the way, because the Russians are producing their own drones. But I would say the single most important country in terms of weapon supplies right now is North Korea.